Shabbat Shalom, Moedim L'Simcha, Chag Sameach. Welcome to the fourth edition of the ENJC Shabbat Supplementary video. Today is Shabbat Hol-HaMoed, Pesach. Actually, it's not, but we're pretending. So hopefully this will give you some insight for how to enhance your own Shabbat experience at home. We will have some prayers. We will have some Torah and Haftara readings, as well as Divrei Torah, sermon. And again, like, subscribe, hit the bell. And with that, we start with Na Refa Na. Na Refa Na, 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 Na Refa Na. We hope all who are in need of healing get brachot, get strength from God to push through their illness and fully recover. A refuah shalema, refuat nefesh, refuat aguf.
Amen.
Ashrei, page 96.
Ashrei yoshvei betecha, od yehalelucha sela. Ashrei ha'am shekacha lo, Ashrei ha'am shadonai Elohav. Tila leDavid, aromimcha Elohai hamelech, v'bracha shimcha leolam va'ed, bechol yom avarcheka, v'la shimcha leolam va'ed. Gadol Adonai Ha-Moed, v'ligdulato en cheker, dor ledor yishabach masecha, ugvurotecha yagidu, hadar kevod hodecha, v'difrei niflotecha asicha, v'zuz norotecha yomeru, ugdulatecha asaprena, zecher av tuvcha yabiu, v'tzid katecha yeranenu, Chanun v'rachum Adonai, erech apayim ugdal chosed, tov Adonai lakol, v'rachamav al kol ma'asav, yoduch Adonai kol masecha, v'chasidecha yevarchucha, kevod malchutcha yomeru, ugvuratecha yedaberu, lehodia livnei adam levurotav, ukvod hadar malchuto, malchutecha malchut kol olamim, umemshaltecha bechol dor vador, somech Adonai lechol hanoflim, v'zokef lechol hakafufim. Einecha kol elecha yisaberu, v'tanoten nachlem et ochlam bi'ito, poteach et yadecha, umasbi'a lechol chai ratzon, tzadik Adonai bechol derachav, v'chasid bechol ma'asav, karov Adonai lechol korav, lechol asher yikra'uhu ve'emet, ritzon yire'av ya'aseh, ve'et shavatam yishma v'yoshiem, shomer Adonai et kol ohavav, ve'et kol harshayim yashmit, tihilat Adonai yidaber pi, v'varech kol hasar shem kadsho le'olam va'ed, v'anachnu nevarech ya, Mi'ata v'yad olam, hallelujah. With that, it's my pleasure to introduce my partner on the bima, Rabbi Ian Silverman.
Yeshakaya Chazan.
Yeah.
Shabbat Shalom and Moadim l'simcha, Chagim uzmanim l'sason.
Et Yom Hagamasot hazeh.
That's right. We're celebrating a Pesach at this time. Hopefully you're looking at this during Hol-HaMoed and enjoying some thoughts for Shabbat that you can bring to your table. In the story of the repentance of the people after the making of the golden calf, we have the episode of today's reading in which Moshe pleads on behalf of them, the people, of their great sorrow and their great remorse, and the hope that in fact they shall come, that God shall come within the people once again. God at this time says, I shall forgive those who I shall forgive and have mercy upon those who I shall have mercy. He tells Moses to place himself in a little cleft of a rock that he can pass over them, and does so with a great act of great mercy and compassion. Agreed to in fact come once again within the people. But in this reading we have some stipulations that he's also to write down separately, apart from the new second tablets that he's going to bring to the people. And they shall include a lot of stuff about not doing idolatry and eradicating idolatrous areas and practices once they come into the land, but also to establish and ensconce in their midst the important festivals, the festivals of Pesach and Shabbat, Shavuos and Sukkot, which will instill for them this idea that in fact it was God who brought them out of Egypt, to make them his people and to apply the lessons of being freed from slavery and the responsibilities of keeping Torah and expressing it to the world as God's people. With that, I ask that you join with me in the laning of the day, which is found on page 538 in the Etz Hayyim, and I'll be reading it in its entirety. It's not that long a reading. Vayomer Moshe. But I forgot to say the bracha. Say the bracha on studying Torah. Together, Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Kitshanu B'mitzvotav V'tzivanu La'asok B'divrei Torah.
Amen.
Vayomer Moshe El Adonai Re'eh Ata Omer Elai Hal Et Ha'am Hazeh V'ata Lo Datani Et Asher Tishlach Imi ואתה אמרת ידעתיך בשם וגם מצאת חן בעיניי ואתה אמנה מצאתי חן בעיניך הודיעני נא את דרכיך וידעך למען אמצא חן בעיניך וראה כי עמך גוי הזה ויאמר פני אליך והניחותי לך ויאמר אליו אם פניך הולכים אל תעלנו מזה ובמה יוודע איפה כי מצאתי חן בעיניך אני ועמך הלא בלכתך עמנו ונפלנו אני ועמך מכל העם אשר על פני האדמה ויאמר אדוני אל משה, גם את הדבר הזה אשר דיברת עשה, כי מצאת חן בעיניי, וידעך בשם, ויאמר הריני נא את כבודך, ויאמר אני אעביר כל טובי על פניך, וקראתי בשם אדוני לפניך, וחנותי את אשר אחון וריחמתי את אשר ארחם ויאמר לא תוכל לראות את פניי כי לא יראני אדם וחי ויאמר אדוני למקום איתי וניצבת על הצור והיה בעבור כבודי ושמתיך בנקרת הצור וסקותי כפי עליך עד עוברי והסירותי את כפי וראית את אחורי ופניי לא יראו. ויאמר אדוני אל משה פסולך שני לוחות אבנים כראשונים, וכתבתי על הלוחות את הדברים אשר היו על הלוחות הראשונים אשר שיברת, ויהיה נכון לבוקר. ועלית בבוקר הר סיני ונצבת לי שמה ראש ההר, ואיש לא יעלה עמך, וגם איש אל ירע בכל ההר, גם הצאן והבקר אל יראו אל מול ההר ההוא. ויפסול שני לוחות אבנים כראשונים, ישכם משה בבוקר ויעל אל הר סיני כאשר ציווה אדוני אותו, ויקח בידו שני לוחות אבנים, וירד אדוני בענן ויתייצב עמם, ויקרא בשם אדוני, ויעבור אדוני על פניו, ויקרא אדוני אדוני רחום וחנון, ערך אפיים ורב חסד באמת, נוצר חסד לאלפים, נושא עוון ובפשע וחטא, ונקה לא ינקה, פוקד עוון אבות, על בנים על בני בנים, על שלישים ועל רבעים. וימהר משה ויקוד ארצה וישתחו, ויאמר אם אינם מצאתי חן בעיניך אדוני, ילך נא אדוני בקרבנו, כי עם קשה עורף הוא, וסלחת לעווננו לחטאותינו ונחלתנו. ויאמר הנה אנוכי כורת ברית נגד כל עמך אעשה נפלאות, אשר לא נבראו בכל הארץ וכל הגויים, וראה כל העם אשר אתה בקרבות מעשה אדוני כי נורא הוא אשר אני עושה עמך. שמור לך את אשר אנוכי מצווך היום, הנני גורש מפניך את האמורי והכנעני והחיתי והפריזי והחיבי והיבוסי, הישמר לך פן תכרת ברית ליושב בארץ אשר אתה בא עליה, פן יהיה למוקש בקרבך, כי את מזבחותם תתוצון ואת מצבותם תשברון ואת אשר רב תכרותון, כי לא תשתחווה לאל אחר, כי אדוני קנה שמו אל קנהו, פן תכרות ברית ליושב בארץ וזנו אחרי אלוהיהם, וזבחו לאלוהיהם, וקרא לך ואכלת מזבחו, ולקחת בבנותיו לבניך וזנו בנותיך אחרי אלוהיהן, ויזנו את בניך אחרי אלוהיהן, אלוהי מעשיך לא תעשה לך. את חג המצות תשמור, 7 ימים תאכל מצות אשר ציוויתיך למועד חודש האביב, כי בחודש האביב יצאת ממצרים, כל פטר רחם לי, וכל מקנך תשכר פטר שור ושה, ופטר חמור תפתה בשה, ואם לא תפתה וערבתו. כל בכור בניך תפתה, ולא יראו פני פרקם. 6 ימים תעבוד, וביום השביעי תשפוט, בחריש ובקציר תשפוט. וחג שבועות תעשה לך ביקורי קציר חיטים, וחג האסיף תקופת השנה, 3 פעמים בשנה. יראה כל זכורך את פני אדון אדוני אלוהי ישראל, כי אוריש גויים מפניך, והרחבתי את גבוליך, ולא יחמוד איש את ארצך בעלותיך, לראות את פני אדוני אלוהיך 3 פעמים בשנה. לא תשחט על חמץ דם זבחי, ולא ילין לבוקר, זה בחג הפסח ראשית. ביקורי אדמתך תביא, Beit Adonai Elohecha lo tevashel gedi b'chalev imo. And there is a second Sefer Torah reading, a little scroll that's brought out for the second little section that's read from the second scroll. V'yikraftem Yishev, for the additional Musaf, the additional added korbanot specific to the time of Passover. So we read from the book of Numbers, a selection, chapter 28 in the book of Numbers, Parsha Pinchas, 19 through 25. V'yikraftem Yishev l'Adonai parim b'nei bakar shnayim ve'ayl echad v'shiv'a kvasim b'nei shana tmimim yu lachem ומנחתם סולת בשמן 13 לפר ושני עשרונים ליל תעשו יסרה תעשה לכבש האחד לשבעת הכבשים וסיר חטאת אחד לכפר עליכם מלבד עולת הבוקר אשר לעולת תמיד תעשו את אלה כאלה תעשו ליום 7 ימים לחם ישרח ניחוח לאדוני על עולת התמיד יאסף ונזכור ויום השביעי מקרא קודש יהיה לכם כל מלאכת עבודה לא תעשו. And I now call upon Chazan Walvik to chant for us the special Haftara of Hol-HaMoed Pesach.
God. So we're back in Yechezkel, back in the book of Ezekiel, which we talked about a few weeks ago, and some of the controversies of the inclusion of this book. And this week's Parsha is another somewhat controversial imagery that's happening in here. This is the story of dem bones, dry bones, dem bones. The reformation, the resurrection, if you will, that Ezekiel views in the valley, and the rabbis struggle with this. You know, some insist that this is nothing more than a parable, and yet Rabbi Eliezer insists that this actually has happened. This actually will happen. That we'll have a physical resurrection, and it's unclear. Judaism doesn't really deal that much with what happens with a personal eschatology of whether we're going to come back after death or not, and that's neither here nor there, nor it's a little bit beyond our scope for these videos. But there is one thing we can take, and that is, as we are struggling at home, the end of the Haftara is very, very poignant. In verse 14, it says, "V'natati ruchi v'chem v'hayiti v'hinachti etchem al admatchem v'iratem ki ani Adonai dibarti v'asiti ne'um Adonai." So God says that He's going to give His ruach, His breath, His spirit, His strength, v'chem v'haytem, and you're going to live. V'hinachti etchem al admatchem, and He'll place you on your own land. And in addition to the medical issues that COVID-19 is bringing upon all of us, the economic effects are only going to grow over the next months and weeks. And I know we have congregants who are already beginning to struggle, and it's only going to get worse. But I like to think that God is not only there to keep us alive and keep us safe medically, but that God will help us to get back on our own feet, on our own land. And that is the prayer that I have for each and every one of you.
Amen.
And we return to Yechezkel, chapter 36.
Page 1308.
1308. Again, there will be links provided in the description to all the text that we'll be using. Hayetalai
Ad Adonai, Voyotzieni Veruach Adonai, Vainicheni Betoch Habik'ah, Vehi Mlea Atzamot, Vehe'evirani Alechem, Saviv, Saviv, Vihine Rabot Meod Al Pnei Habik'ah, Vihine Yeveshot Meod, Vayomer Elai Ben Adam, Hatichyana Atzamot Ha'ele, V'omar Adonai Elohim Atayadata, Vayomer Elai Hinave Al Ha'atzamot Ha'ele, V'marta Alehem, V'atzamot Ha'yeveshot, Shim'u Devar Adonai, Ko Amar Adonai Elohim, L'Atzamot Ha'ele, Hine Ani Mevi Vachem, Ruach Vichitem, V'natati Alechem Gidim, V'aleti Alechem Basar, V'karamti Alechem Or, V'nati Vachem Ruach V'chayitem, Vidatem ki ani Adonai, V'ni beiti kasher tsuveti, Vayikol ki nav'i, V'nei ra'ash, V'tikrevu atzamot etzem el atzmo, V'ra'iti, V'hinei alehem gidim vasar Allah, V'yikram alehem or milmala v'ruach in bahem. V'yomer Elai Hinave el haruach, Hinave v'nadam, V'marta el haruach, Komar Adonai Elohim, Me'arba ruchot boi haruach, Uvchi, V'charugim ha'ele v'yichyu, V'nei beiti kasher tzivani, V'tavo, V'hem haruach, V'yichyu, V'yamdu al raglehem, Chayil gadol me'od me'od, Vayomer Elai Ben Adam ha'atzamot ha'ele Kol Beit Yisrael Hema Hine omarim Yaveshu atzmotenu Vavdah tikvatenu Nigzarnu lanu Lachein Hinaveva Marta Alehem Komar Adonai Elohim Hine Ani foteach et kivrotechem V'haliti etchem Mikivrotechem Ami Ve'heveiti etchem El admat haaretz Vidatem ki ani Adonai Bifitchi et kivrotechem, Uvha'aloti etchem, Mikivrotechem ami. V'natati ruchi v'chem v'item, V'nachti etchem al admatchem, Vidatem, Ki ani Adonai, Dimarti v'asiti, Neom Adonai.
Yeshakaya.
I call back Rabbi Silverman, who will give us today's Divrei Torah, his sermon. I'm set.
One of the important messages of Pesach is to see ourselves as if we were enslaved, and as we got out, and as though we got out of Egypt ourselves, to experience both the bitterness of maror charoset and the jubilation of wine and lounging. It's also meant to convey to us the power of having had the historical experience and the imperative of having vicariously tasted it from year to year. The Torah tells us in our reading today that two of the most important holidays to drum up the idea of the fact that we're God's people and that we were released from Egypt by God and not by some golden calf is Pesach and Shabbat. The Torah tells us in Deuteronomy that the reason for Shabbat is Yetziat Mitzrayim. Remember how God liberated us from brutal slavery, and remember to keep Shabbat as a reminder of your freedom, because slaves didn't have a chance for a special day of rest. And here you are as a free people now with the opportunity to taste that palace of time that Avram Joshua Heschel spoke about. A beautiful day, sacred time of Shabbat. But Deuteronomy tells us something else too in the equation, in the Ten Commandments there, about going out of Egypt and God taking us as his people. It tells us to make certain that you give all of your household, not just your family, but all those working in your household, and even your animals, a taste of freedom every week, and that in so doing you are really in the image of God. You are practicing imitatio Deo, as they call it in the fancy language, fancy Greek, walking in God's footsteps. Always we must be conscious of the horror of estrangement and enslavement. Always we must be conscious of those that feel marginal. Make sure to love the stranger, we're told in the Torah. 36 times. 36 times. Love the stranger because we too were strangers in the land of Egypt. It's all about enslavement and estrangement that we experience, that we make sure that we can, the best of our ability, not see or countenance in any other person being victimized. Pesach must tell us, therefore, something deeper, that not only remembering and re-experiencing slavery, but it teaches us that we must be mindful of it in the everyday and work hard to eradicate it when we see it or are tempted to lord it over other peoples. We cannot be complacent when so many millions are still enslaved today. And that's why I call to mind your attention of freetheslaves.com and hope that you'll support its excellent work. What is this agency, freetheslaves.com, about? It does advocacy work with governments. Governments, of course, should be leading the way in the eradication of slavery. Why? Because they all signed on to it in becoming members of the United Nations. Every country has enacted, of course, laws banning slavery, but passing a law and enforcing it are two very different challenges. Free the Slaves speaks to the powerful on behalf of the powerless to move those with resources to take action. Free the Slaves works with oppressed cultures and communities. Women and girls especially are vulnerable to human trafficking and modern slavery. More than 70% of the victims today are women and girls. Free the Slaves is an agency that works to educate communities about gender rights and empower women and girls to resist human trafficking. Here's what we are dealing with in this day and age. Tens of millions of enslaved in the modern world. $150 billion is given to traffickers and is profit for traffickers every single year. Here are the mind-numbing statistics. 35 to 45 million people in the world are enslaved today in some brutal or captive fashion. 50% of slavery victims are in labor slavery, many of them bonded slaves that are paying off debt for years or for decades. 37% are forced into marital slavery, and 12% are victims of the sex trade and are essentially sex slaves. I took the step of taking a survey of my slavery footprint under the auspices of another excellent website, the Underground Railroad Museum website. And I learned that emancipation, though it happened in 1865, in a proclamation year, it still is really just not a reality. It still remains a hope and a dream, particularly for those outside the United States, but even some that are in our country. Not for 40 million people in the world. I was very upset when I learned that I had slaves working for me. Third-party contributors to my jewelry, because kids mainly are the ones working in the diamond and the gold mines in Africa, bonded for years, and tied to 14-hour days in the mine in the dark. My electronics come, of course, from reputable companies like Apple and Microsoft and Samsung and HP. But they often will get their component parts and minerals and microchips from third parties that have children working in mines for the minerals and assembly lines assembling the microchips of children exploited against their will. According to The Guardian, as late as 2018, children as young as 6 in the Congo are forced to work in the mines for as little as $2 a day. They wear no safety protection. They carry a store-bought battery-powered flashlight into the mine, and they often die from brutal working conditions that result in suffocation, cave-ins, death from sheer exhaustion. Multinational corporations like Apple, Samsung, Dell, and HP all depend on the Congolese mining operations for their raw materials, as 80% of the world's coltan and cobalt supply comes from that region. They don't necessarily ask too many questions. The children have no other option but to work in the mines because school is beyond their financial means of ordinary Congolese families. The food I eat is from forced labor fishing in Chile and Indonesia. The coffee beans I consume are often harvested at the slavery prices for small cocoa farmers, whose families then become vulnerable to poverty and to trafficking. Fair trade guarantees a minimum purchase price and ensures that slave labor is not used to produce products. A simple thing we can do is demand proof from the companies that we patronize to guarantee that their component parts, their beans, their fish, have a legitimate third-party supply chain. A simple thing we can do is that we can support the great work of Free the Slaves to advocate for them with our money. The simple thing we can do is swap our coffee and tea out for fair trade varieties. Ve'ahavta et hager, ki gerim haytem be'eretz Mitzrayim. We should love the stranger because we too experienced strangeness, marginality in the land of Egypt. Love the marginal, for you too were marginal. Passover can turn us inward, and rightly so, as we gather with family and friends, or at least with Zoom this year, with them more than any time in the year. All the more so this year, since we're really turned inward with our immediate families. But it must not stop us from looking outward. This is the message of Pesach. Ve'ahavta et hager ki gerim haytem be'eretz Mitzrayim. It is also, see yourselves as though you yourselves were released from slavery. But it goes beyond that pale and asks that we look out towards those that are actually still enslaved and activate ourselves with an important imperative of helping to free them. The chains of so many millions are still tied, and many of them are depending on the free world to help them. May we in the Jewish community be in the vanguard. And to that we say Amen.
Amen. Shkoach.
L'chaim to you. We now continue with our closing hymn for our service.
Adon Olam, page 187. Adon Olam, Shem Allah, B'terim Kol Yisir Nivra, Le'et Nasaber, Chef Sagol, Zamelech Shimon Nikra, V'acharei Lo Takol Alevado Yimloch Nora, Behu Hayave, Hu Hove, Hu Yeh B'Jivara, Behu
echad ve'en sheni lehamshil lo lehachbira beli reshit beli taklit v'lo ve'hamisra ve'hu eli ve'hai goli ve'tzorchev libi etzara ve'hu nisio manosli minakosi b'yom ekra b'yado av Kidruchi bi'eti shan ve'ayra ve'imruchi ge ve'ati Adon Olam ve'lo ira. Shabbat Shalom, Moedim l'simcha, Chag Sameach. Please click like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and please write in the comments what other melodies you would like to hear for Adon Olam.